Hello, hello. It's Brooke DeVard, and you're listening to the Naked Beauty Podcast. I am joined today by Leah Thomas, who is a climate optimist and environmental justice advocate and author, and just all around incredible young woman, young person, doing amazing things, educating other people, but also low key, not so low key, high key, a beauty girl. Like the makeup, the skin, the hair. So I'm excited to just talk to you about your whole beauty journey, your life, the work that you do, and why you do it. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited that we could do this in person. I've known your work for a long time. I've been following you. And we just serendipitously, I went to this event, it was like literally my second day in LA. Like, it was like, hello.
Right off the plane.
Right off the plane. Popped down to treat people. And there you were speaking about how we can just be more conscious about the environment around us. And I tend to feel that a lot of spaces that speak about the environment are whitewashed. That's not a secret. So I'm always excited when I see a young Black woman in that space. And you're always just very eloquent and have a lot of tangible advice. So I was like, I need to really make this happen. We've got to do Naked Beauty now that we're both in LA. So I'm very excited to have you on.
Yeah, thank you. And welcome to LA. I know it's a big change from New York, but I feel like you're going to really like it here.
Yeah. And I love how you say that as if you've been here a long time. Didn't you just get here too?
You know what?
Welcome to LA. I'm 6 months in.
Yeah, before this, I was in Santa Barbara. So
Okay.
I was in like sleepy beach towns.
Yeah.
And then I went to college in Orange County. But yeah, this is like my LA chapter. I just got here in the summer. So
Yes. Yes. But life on the West Coast, I get it.
Yeah,
I understand it. The hiking, that just the access to nature is a game changer.
it really is. And like, I feel like people talk slower here than they
Mhm.
do in New York. And it's kind of like embracing this like slow lifestyle, which I
Yes.
feel like really works really well for me.
Yes, slow living. And it's so funny. I saw a video on TikTok last night. I can't remember the creator, otherwise I would credit her. But she said, I'm realizing that when you guys say soft life, you're talking about something different than what I'm talking about. Soft life has always been about finding peace. But now I'm seeing the girlies are turning it into an aesthetic. It's like this weird class thing where it's like, I live a soft life because I have luxury items and I don't have to work. And it's like, no, that wasn't what the soft life movement was about.
No, I get frustrated, but then I think LA, especially certain parts of it, it's so easy to get into that consumer-driven soft life because like I'm always at Erewhon and the food is really good, but I'm always there. But I want people to know you don't have to buy your way into sustainability or soft living. It can honestly be just like going for a walk around the block or like remembering to wash your face, even if you're washing it with just like water and whatever soap that you have. It doesn't have to be like super expensive green beauty. But also, I mean, there is nuance. Like if it's something that is accessible to you, I would encourage people to get things that are ethical and better for people and planet. But I want people to know you don't have to buy your way into it.
Yes. I always say self-care is free. There's nothing you have to buy to participate in self-care. But I am always thinking about how can I make my approach to beauty and skincare more sustainable, more environmentally friendly. But I want to hear how you found your way into this work. I know you grew up near Ferguson. And, of course, that was really where a lot of the BLM movement started.
Yeah.
And there's so much that links, justice reform and the environment. So what was your kind of entry into this space?
I love when people say origin stories too, because it feels like a Marvel comic, which is just so cute. But yeah, I grew up in the Midwest, like a very typical Midwestern upbringing. So I grew up in Florissant, which is right by Hazelwood and Ferguson. But just for people who aren't familiar, it's very Midwestern suburban out there. So it's like suburbs, but cornfields, like not too far away, and maybe a farm. So a different suburban upbringing than maybe in LA. And I always was just I didn't know I was nerdy until probably a year ago when someone was like, oh my God, you're such a nerd. I'm like, ah. And then all of a sudden things started coming together. But I was always outside, like playing with plants and animals, catching toads. I wanted to be a doctor. And then I realized like, I really like the earth. I don't know what it is about it. So first I studied biology when I went to college, changed it to environmental science and policy. at the same time, the Ferguson uprisings were beginning, so it was really hard for me in my environmental science classes to not think about what was going on back home. So I was always just searching for ways to infuse identity and culture and social justice into my environmental work that I was doing. And I'm kind of jumping over a lot of chapters, but I decided to be a park ranger intern the summer after Ferguson to just like heal and nature. And then at the same time, I kind of got into the green beauty space. There's an actress named Kimberly Elise who's in the movie Dope, who when I was in school, her daughter Aja Blue had started a blog for her on natural living and natural hair. So I was one of their first bloggers that was just like writing posts about green beauty. And then there's so many intersections with green beauty and environmental justice that we can totally touch on. But my first job after college was at an eco-friendly like soap company called Ecos. So I learned a lot about sustainable packaging and ingredients, and that's why I got really into, green beauty. So when I started my blog around that time, after being a park ranger, running around and writing and just doing a bunch of random stuff, my blog was about green beauty. I was like, it was so cool. I maybe had 500 followers. But
those are the best times.
It was so cool.
Those are the best times. I actually miss the days when I had the time to like make my own hair mask, film the process of making it, share that, write about it, like I had so much more time to kind of DIY and a much smaller audience, but that doesn't mean that the effort is lower,
It was so fun. Yeah. Like I was doing everything. I was making acai bowls. I don't know if you remember like when that was really in. That was probably like 2016. I don't know. So I was making acai bowls, talking about green beauty. And it's just been such a wild journey for green beauty for Black women, especially like seeing hair care products, like new, hair extensions that's made with bamboo. And then, Rihanna has completely changed the game. At least I think it's vegan and cruelty free. But those standards are becoming, more and more talked about. So that's a little bit about my journey. Park ranger, worked at Patagonia for a little bit, started a nonprofit, and I just love everything that has to do with the earth.
Amazing. And what do your parents do? Because I love the fact that from a young age you loved being outside, and that's what I want for my son. What did your parents do that kind of helped to nurture this passion in you?
So my dad is a tennis coach, and my mom she started out as an elementary school counselor, and now she's like a mental health worker for the school district. And I think that really helped, like having a mom that really, talked about self-care, and then having a coach for a dad. Yeah. So very encouraging. Yeah. But I grew up in a world where I didn't know that I was one of few Black women in science. And I wasn't until later when I started going to predominantly white schools that I realized like how much my mom prepared me by giving us like Black doctor dolls or, reading us stories of, unfortunately he's taken a lot of pivots. Ben Carson sure has. But back in the day, like learning about the open heart surgery.
Open heart surgery, yeah.
So she put me in this world of representation where I always knew that I belonged in science spaces. And that was such a cool thing that she did that I want to do with my kids, so they can walk into, a science lab with confidence if that's where they are and say, I belong here, because I can name 3 people off the top of my head, even if it's not in my textbooks. So I feel like my parents just let me do what I wanted to do. And it wasn't always something that was super expensive. Like if I was in the backyard digging up mud with shovels, I never got, gender roles reinforced. Like you shouldn't be outside doing this, that, and the other. So it was just the most normal thing ever, because I feel like they weren't judgmental. Again, I didn't have the epiphany that I was nerdy until a year ago or so. But, and I really appreciate that, because it made me feel confident in the things that I loved. And I knew that there were people who looked like me. So I always felt like I belonged.
And I also think that the most interesting people are quote unquote nerdy, right? I mean,
it
just means that you have deep interests that you're able to go deep on.
Right.
Before we talk about the green beauty space and greenwashing, right? Because those two go hand in hand. I'd love to hear, as you were first kind of like getting into the natural beauty world, were there certain things that you made for yourself at home that made you kind of have these like epiphanies about ingredients? Because I have my things where I was like, oh my gosh, this versus what I could buy on the, counter at CVS is just very different. So were there certain like ingredients that you figured out early on, like, oh, wow, this is the source?
I think it started with relaxers for me, which is like, hot debate. But I went natural when I was in school. And I remember it was because I was between relaxers and then I saw my hair curl for the first time and was like, is this what is supposed to be happening? Like I have, really, really coily hair. And I just thought it was so cool. And then I went down this whole rabbit hole of like natural hair care. And I'm still learning to this day. But I think that's what started it. Like hair was an entry point into beauty.
Yes.
And then I don't know the ingredients specifically, but I was looking up a lot of research about how Black women in particular are exposed to more toxins in our hair care and beauty products that are marketed towards us. So in many ways, it felt like an environmental justice issue because those toxins are going into our bodies. It's going into our, waterways and ecosystems, and it's not talked about because we spend more money in the beauty industry and our products have more toxins. So it was kind of like a general thing, but I'm trying to think some of the first things I made. I was doing everything when I first went natural, like
henna, Rasul clay, apple cider vinegar, all the things.
Yeah. I don't know how my hair did not just fall out of my head
from the experimentation. But I feel like it's a really important journey because it teaches you to study how your hair reacts to things and also to read labels. Like that is something that I'm such a huge advocate for. Like read and know what is in the products that you're putting on your skin, in your hair, in your body. It's just so important.
I think the first one I heard about, which I don't know, maybe you can educate me, but parabens was a big talk like back in 2010, 2015. All I heard about was parabens, and I don't even really know what a paraben is.
Yes.
I'm like, is it bad? Is it good?
So
is
parabens,
it okay?
You know what? Parabens is a really interesting one because if you talk to a dermatologist, right? So there are people that are, love this and they're passionate about it, but they haven't necessarily gone to medical school. Most people will try to avoid parabens if they are like quote unquote clean. And I always use clean beauty in quotes. So as you guys are listening to this, clean beauty is always in quotes. But people that are passionate about clean beauty will say they want no parabens. As I've interviewed dermatologists, a lot of them will say that parabens in very small amounts are not harmful. They're not, this like toxic thing that's going to take you down. I remember one of the dermatologists was like, it's so interesting to me because I have women that walk around New York City with smog and pollution and get Botox injected into their face. And then they want paraben-free everything, so and it's like, there is some like fear mongering that comes with this kind of clean beauty thing. Now, if you can choose to have skincare without parabens, great, as you should. But I also think just like learning about sulfates and learning about some of the things that actually like strip your hair and make your hair less healthy is good to know. Now are these called Microlocs?
Yeah, these are Microlocs. So there's a
gorgeous
hot debate.
Oh, okay. What's the debate? Because I love your hair is so beautiful. Like for people that don't have the visual right now, stunning. They're like shoulder length, like a long bob situation. Is this like highlights? Is this your natural hair color?
Yeah, so I have Microlocs.
Okay.
And there's also sister locks, which arguably some could call these sister locks, but sister locks are trademarked. So these are Microlocs. It's like a whole little
Okay, wait. So what's the difference between Microlocs and sister locks?
So
no difference?
Sister locks, there's a certain technique and there's a certain tool that you have to use.
Got it.
And back in the day, there were a small act of rebellion for Black women in professional fields who wanted to have locks but had a lot of hair discrimination. So they were trying to say, okay, I want to have this natural hairstyle. Locks are rooted in kind of sticking it to the man and like, fighting white supremacy. So there were a lot of, back in the day, it wasn't accessible. And now they're becoming more accessible because it's such a long process. It took me 8 days to get around 500 locks. And then some of the locks on the bottom, I'm not even going to lie, we put some extensions in the bottom, which is also controversial, but I want people to know because it's kind of a part of the journey. So yeah, this is my natural hair color at the top. And then there's like highlights at the bottom. And then I did a braid out.
Okay. So you did a braid out on the Microlocs. So you were wearing your hair natural and it was just loose, like in an afro.
Well, I always did braids.
Okay, same. Because I'm very much like a braid girl and I see the Microlocs and the temptation is, but it feels very permanent to me. And I like to change my hair a lot.
If you like to change your hair, I always tell people because you have to be aware, like my edges these are teeny tiny little locks. And every day I have this moment, and my loctician, I'm sorry, but I'm like, I might combine them, because you can combine locks to make them bigger, because the process is going to take about 4 hours, maybe every month. But that's just like getting braids.
4 hours every month?
To tighten them. So every 4 to 6 weeks. So yeah, this is me grown out. And what you have to do is, as it grows out, you just kind of, it's almost like a little tool where you loop it. So it gets tighter and tighter. Right now I'm at my, it's time for this to get fixed. But I mean, I love it because I was always wearing protective styles. Yes. So someone one day was like, why don't you just get locks? And there's so many. And I think I love these. People who get locks always want them bigger or smaller. I think I'm going to keep them like this. But part of me wants to combine them, because that would only be about 2 hours every 4 to 6 weeks. But they're really fun. It's a journey. But you still have to care for your hair in ways that I didn't know. Like, I've experienced thinning. If, you really got to protect your edges, the smaller these locks are, because it's like kind of micro braids in some ways. But yeah.
When you say protecting your edges, does that mean like not putting your hair up as often?
Yeah, I can't put my hair up as often as I want, especially because they're still in a new phase. They're kind of budding. So you'll see little buds at some of the bottom, some of these, like this. This is like a natural, people probably can't see that, but a natural part of the locking process is like getting these little buds at the bottom. And you just have to allow that to happen. And then if you cut it off, it's like it starts over. And then my edges, when I pull my hair up too much as these locks are trying to settle, it just kind of stretches my hair a little bit. So like, you might get traction alopecia from like braids. The same thing can happen the smaller your locks are.
Got it. And do you find that your hair grows faster now that it's locked?
Oh my God, yeah. Like this new growth is wild. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to, like at some point I'll probably cut it, because it makes the process, I think when I get like here, maybe I'll cut it, but it grows so fast. Wow. And then you technically can comb out your locks. I wouldn't recommend it. Again, it took me 8 days to get these installed. Wow. Usually it only takes 2 days, but it was just funny circumstances. Like I got sick. My loctician got like a spider bite. It was a weird time in the universe.
An 8-day journey.
It was an 8-day journey. So these will be in my head for life, I think.
I'm done after this. Well, they look beautiful. And for you, does it have that same kind of, the history of like resistance that locks have? Is that something that also attracted you to the style, or is it purely aesthetic? Because I also love the conversation around not everyone who has natural hair is making some sort of grand political statement.
Yes, say that again so many times. I mean, for me, I think it's cool. And I've been learning about the history of like Rastafarianism and how it can be an act of rebellion. But returning to what's natural, I don't know, it doesn't have to be rebellious all the time. It could be an act of self-love or just because of aesthetics. And I was getting these teeny tiny Zoe Kravitz inspired braids all the time. Yeah. And I just realized like, I don't want to do this. I could lock my hair and basically have micro braids that are micro locks. So it was part aesthetic and then part just wanting to go on a new journey with my hair that felt a little bit easier. Mm-hmm. But I learned it's not necessarily easier.
There are no shortcuts when it comes to Black women in hair.
No.
You can shave your head. You've got to get it buzzed. Like there's truly no shortcut. Period.
No.
Skincare, green washing, green skincare. Mm-hmm. I find that there's a lot of confusion in the marketplace. There's a lot of consumer confusion about what is an eco-conscious way to shop for skincare, body care. How do you approach as a consumer looking for the types of products that you want to use?
So this is something that you'll be familiar with, but I also want to preface for people, like a lot of green beauty people, sustainability bloggers, like we are gifted so much to try.
Yes.
So I feel like my ability to try so many products is largely because it's been like given to me.
Yes.
And then after testing it out, that's basically how it's always worked for me. I'll find a product and go, oh, I really like this. Unless it's Fenty, like obviously I'm buying Rihanna products. So that's how my journey started, just testing out a lot of stuff that way. But something I'm curious your thoughts on, because green beauty is becoming, I feel like, popular demand, it's hard to tell. Yes. Back in the day, there's bare minerals. And Bare Minerals, still cool. I'm wearing like their blush right now. It's one of my favorites. It's an OG. But now there's just so many.
Yes.
And then it's really hard when you even look at claims, like the ways that green is regulated or certain terminology, eco-friendly, green, etc. Regenerative is a new one that's coming out. They don't necessarily have the strictest of, enforcement.
Yeah.
I feel like Europe is a little bit better and more ahead when it comes to enforcing things, but it's so confusing as a consumer because it seems like every new brand is a green beauty brand. So I don't know. I kind of just stick to the same stuff.
The brands that you trust. And I'm excited to hear the products that you love. Could you help break down? So there's vegan, which means no animal products. Cruelty-free, which means not tested on animals.
Yes.
I personally shop cruelty-free, but I don't mind. Products don't have to be vegan, and I'll explain why. Because I will sometimes use like lip balms that have beeswax in them.
Oh, yeah.
Is that okay? Am I doing injustice to the environment by buying non-vegan lip balms?
Shout out to PETA. This was so funny. Side note, I went to like a Celine fashion show. I don't normally go to fashion shows, but they had a show here. And I was trying to be low key, and there were like animal rights protesters outside, and I was like, I stand with you all. Just have to go.
You're like going in with like your Celine outfit, like with your head down, like, oh my gosh, hey, I'm on your side, but I'm here, but I'm on your side.
I was like, I'm rocking with y'all, but I gotta go inside.
And fight the good fight from front row. You've got to infiltrate the systems.
Because I never go to fashion shows, but it was so funny because Celine had a show here.
And you should be at the fashion show,
cute.
And as you raise your profile and expand your voice, that's how we're going to make change. So
you got to be there.
Yes, you have to be there.
But this is going back to, okay, so me personally, I have a lot of friends who are beekeepers. So I do use bee products, and my diet changes. I'm a flexitarian. Okay. Sometimes that has been vegan, pescatarian, everything. I'm not vegan right now. I will say that. So I'm okay with it. But it's a hot debate in the vegan community. Like some people believe, that bees are being exploited by using honey. But some people also believe like, domesticated animals shouldn't be in your home. So there's different extremes, but I understand why beeswax technically is not vegan if some vegans believe any animal byproducts, or there's a difference between like byproduct and something else, but I forget the word.
Yes. Now, when you say bees are being exploited, or when your beekeeper friends say bees are being exploited, I thought bees just kind of naturally make honey and wax.
They do, but
are they like urged to make more?
Yeah, I know. Like
work harder, work faster.
It's a hot debate because people going out of their way to find wild honey, I'm curious if that would be more okay or more ethical.
Interesting.
But technically you have to make like the enclosure for the bees to, but I personally am okay with it, but I know people have their own standards. I like honey. I think it's really important to save the bees, and a part of saving the bees is also like having more beekeepers who can like safely look after them and expand the bee population. But I know a lot of people who just don't do honey, so it makes sense why it's not technically vegan, but I'm okay with beeswax.
Okay. And how do you approach sustainability in packaging? Because that's, I feel like, a really big one. I've been trying to transition to more bar soaps versus body wash, like, because it's a plastic container, and then they also have to just add a lot of water to it. So like when you get the soap, you're getting like the pure...
It's like ready to go.
Ready to go.
Yeah, this is interesting. I'm seeing a lot of waterless products lately.
Yes.
Whether it's toothpaste, and I think it's entering like the beauty space a little bit more. I think it's pretty cool.
Bite toothpaste is a really cool waterless alternative to regular toothpaste. And Everlast makes a waterless body wash. It's just like a concentrate, and you just activate it with water in your shower.
Ooh, I need to try that. Hey.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. There's just so much cool innovation. I think I like going to refill shops too. Okay. But I'll be honest, refill shops can be so expensive.
They can be.
Like I remember I filled up just a thing of body wash, and it was maybe around $50 or so. So I don't know. Like there's a lot of bar soaps that are really accessible as well, even if it's like Shea Moisture. I know they like changed ownership and
well, yeah, and that caused some controversy. But Shea Moisture, I have tried their bar soaps, and they're good. Are there any other bar soaps that you like?
OG would be Lush.
Lush,
Lush has
yes.
always been a really good brand. So like when you look at the OGs, like Bare Minerals, etc., like Lush has just had integrity for a really long time, in my opinion, unless you know some stuff. But
no, I don't know anything. And I think
Put me
Lush
on.
does a wonderful job. And also I think that role of consumer education where you can go into Lush and they'll tell you like, this is rose and this is goat's milk and this is honey. Like I like brands that invest in educating their customers as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Same. And they've just been so good. So I think if you don't know where to start with the OGs. And Lush is also like at most malls. But yeah, those are some of my favorites right now.
What are your other favorite beauty skincare brands?
So the only thing I use on my skin is Osea.
Yes, Osea, which stands for Ocean, Sea, and Earth.
Ooh.
Yes.
Yay. When I said it out loud, I was like, this should be Osea. That
yes.
makes sense. Okay. So I use them exclusively on my face.
Okay, so let's get into which products you use because I recently started using their hyaluronic serum. That's like that green. It's like so thick and like...
It does feel a little funny, but it's good.
Yeah, but it's good. And their body oil, of course.
And it started trending on TikTok. The body oil, and it's my favorite, like top secret. The smell, it's amazing. So I use the body oil. I use their there's like a green ocean face cleaner, face cleaner, and then the face lotion. It's like a 3-step.
Okay.
So there's the face cleaner, the lotion, and then the serum.
Yes.
And then I use their body oil. So those are my favorites. And then every now and again, I will use like Shea Moisture. Again, I think it's just something that's deeply ingrained in me because I remember them being like one of the first, you know, mainstream natural hair products. So I do use their soap a lot. But yeah, it's mostly what I use for like skincare.
I think Osea is a fabulous brand, and a lot of their skincare, they age the oils in a like cask, like in a product that has algae and like sea minerals in it, right? So you're like getting like the goodness from the sea. And it's so interesting because whenever I like go into like the ocean, like the water, my skin just feels better. There is something about just Mother Nature, good old Mother Nature, that you can feel the difference just like on your skin on like a physiological level.
A little bit of algae. Like it's so good for you. And like I like Osea again because they're an OG and they're like, yeah, algae is good for your skin.
Yes.
And for a lot of people it is. So like, yeah, it just feels like Mother Nature's healing. I need to look at their ingredients again, but I don't think it's like jam packed with anything too unnecessary.
Oh, no. The ingredient list is fabulous. And they do use some essential oil, like, you know, flower extracts and stuff. A lot of people, as I've learned, as I've done this podcast now for 5-6 years. Wow. As I talk to people, a lot of people are fragrance free. They don't like things with fragrance, and it's never been an issue for me. So I'm like, bring on the things that smell nice. But if that's an issue for you, I would avoid. What do you use for hair care?
So with locks, you're really only supposed to use shampoo and water. And then I also use apple cider vinegar or just vinegar. So I forget the brand. It's like a lock specific brand, or I use a Shea Moisture shampoo.
Okay, nice. Have you tried shampoo bars yet?
No, I feel like it would just get like caught.
Okay.
In my locks.
I was like, this is not for me as a Black woman, but Azalea Banks, rapper, pop star, controversial figure. But I know it's like, but she knows a lot about she and I will like DM, like she knows a lot about skincare and she makes.
Do you have an episode together? Because I would watch that immediately.
Okay. We have talked about it so many times.
Expeditiously.
Me and Miss Banks have talked about it so many times. She's hard to nail down. She's hard to nail down.
She's got hot takes though.
She's got hot takes. She'll send me like 20 voice notes in a row and I like listen to all of them. And I'm like, I feel like I have like a private podcast. I'm honored for these voice notes. But yeah, she makes a soap bar from her line. I think it's called Cheapy XO.
I didn't even know she had a line. That's
yes,
so cool.
I know. I'm like, you need to come on the podcast so we can promote the products. But yeah, she has a soap bar I used and it really worked for my hair. And I was like, okay, maybe I should get into soap bars as well. There's just, I love the focus that everyone's having towards sustainability and being more efficient.
Yeah.
And just less packaging. Even we were talking about, you know, you brought it up. We get sent a lot of things.
Yeah.
It turns me off so much when brands just send me just unnecessary, just like crap. Sorry to say. Just like, you know, a cute sweatshirt. That's nice. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when brands send you their new sunscreen in like a mini beach diorama with little umbrellas and sand, and you're like, I didn't need this, and it's just going in the trash, and it feels now I feel wasteful, even though it wasn't a decision I made to do this. Now I feel like a bad person. So we don't need all of that.
No, and I've been thinking, like, they're going to send it out. So I like when brands send me makeup because I've been doing little giveaways to my community, and it's, like, just so fun. But yeah, like, I got a Christmas ornament from a brand. It was a sparkling water brand that I adore. But it was like, I love y'all, but I don't, what am I going to do with this? So with things like that, I do feel really wasteful. And I hope brands take that into consideration. Like, send the product. And I know people, will put it to good use. I know a lot of, I usually give it to my mom. She gives it to people, etc. And I know if they don't send it to me, they're going to send it, elsewhere. So I do take it and try to distribute it when I can. But yeah, the other merch and unnecessary packaging, it's time to stop.
We don't need it. Something that you've talked about very passionately is fast fashion.
Yes.
And I have for a long time now opted out of fast fashion for years now, only because I've had the experience of moving several times. And when you look at the things that you're donating and giving away and the stuff that takes up space in your closet, it is, for me at least, it was always the H&Ms and the Zaras. But you recently did a podcast where the topic of Shein came up.
Oh, sounds like a cult.
Sounds like a cult.
Fun.
So I learned from that conversation that the value of Shein is more than Zara and H&M combined. It's an $100 billion company with profits that are, I think the only two like more profitable companies are like SpaceX and one other like huge company. Oh, ByteDance that owns TikTok.
Wild.
Right. So this is like, and I feel like Shein came out of nowhere. Like it just popped up. The thing that I'm conscious about, and I'm so curious to hear, Leah, how you balance this, because I do think it's so important. How do you have the conversation about fast fashion without shaming people?
Yeah, this is a hard one, especially because like fashion, it's not my main area. I mean, I went thrifting when I was growing up, and maybe I'm starting to get into fashion now. Shout out to my stylist. So he's trying to put me on and elevate the looks. But for me, I honestly go to the same places. I'm really simple. Like if something works for me, like I just go to Reformation. I don't know. I was in like a sleepy beach town. So I'm trying now that I'm in LA. But it's really hard because a lot of fast fashion conversations are so based in shame.
Yes.
And I think we need to 100% shame the industries and corporations that could easily make changes. And I think that shame has led to a lot of people trying to infiltrate from within. So even some might call it greenwashing when H&M has a conscious collection. But if someone is like, H&M is where I can shop, this is the price point right now, then I will point them to the conscious collection if that's their entry point. When I was in school, H&M's conscious collection and thrifting, that was my entry point into the world of, oh my God. And then, it just was kind of like a ripple effect. So I feel like it's really important to shame the corporations, not necessarily the individuals, and educate people as much as possible. But a lot of people, I think people forget, even online educators, people are just trying to live.
Yes.
They're just trying to survive. They're not going into the store and buying something because they're, making a stance or they support the extractive and exploitative nature of these industries.
They just want a cute outfit for the dinner they've got later that night.
And they want to keep up with the trends. And it's like, it feels bad if keeping up with the trends is a little moment of joy for a girl in the Midwest, which I am. And then someone comes in and is like, well, you're not doing it right. So there's got to be a happy medium of educating consumers about thrifting and things like that. But then also really shaming the corporations, because I think we have the power to get them to stop. And it's not necessarily down to just the individual. So
absolutely.
it's hard. It's nuanced. But I just find so many people shame individuals who are the least responsible for the climate crisis, are working multiple jobs just to make a living. And how am I supposed to, it's hard, like, to be like, oh, don't eat meat, don't do this, only buy $300 sweatshirts, which again, we're getting sent. So a lot of sustainability bloggers, it's like, remember that we're getting sent all this stuff.
Oh yeah, and that's a major one.
Yeah.
That's a major one. I mean, there's so many. I was on a call with a bunch of beauty editors for a new cleanser. I can just say I love April from Vintner's Daughter. When beauty editors get sent products, they often don't know the price. And right? When you get sent a product, do you know how much it costs?
No. Yeah, right? I don't even think about
it. So you just recommend it. Just try this moisturizer. Love it.
$100.
And then
with gold.
It's $200. But I asked on that call, I said, can you talk us, I said, this is $96. Can you talk us through this cost? Because it's high. And I remember her reaction. She was like, no, she said, no one's asked that yet. And I'm like, how many of these calls have you done? But I think that it's again, you have to remember that a lot of times the people that are recommending you things, not only are they being gifted it, but they're also unaware of the price, right? Because when you get sent things, the price is not included.
Wow, yeah.
And so that's that whole other thing to factor in. Just going back to putting the shame on the corporations, I have always said, and maybe this is just my naivete, just being from outside of this industry and world, can't they regulate how many SKUs a brand makes? Meaning, when I go into Zara, the fact that it's an entirely different store every week with 6,000 new styles, it's can't they tell them you can only make this many styles a year or a month?
That would be amazing. That would be such an incredible piece of legislation, but I know people would fight it because, we're in this really interesting world. Back in the day, even 50 years ago, which isn't that long, there's normal seasons. So you could go into a store and shop the season, and then the next season something else rolls out. And then those seasons just got shorter and shorter and shorter when it came to H&M and Forever 21. And that at the time was revolutionary. I can't believe we can get something made within a couple of weeks. And then now with Shein, whatever it is,
Shein,
it's not even, they're beating out H&M and Forever 21 because it's not just a couple of weeks, it's a couple of days. They're going to get it up on the website if they see a celebrity wearing it and try to make it as fast as possible. And you can't do that without exploiting people and the planet. It's just not possible. They're not paying people living wages. So there could be global legislation and then even, national legislation. The United States could not buy from retailers who are making a certain amount of SKUs. I think that would be such a powerful piece of legislation, but will it happen, especially with Shein making more money than Tesla or around that? I don't know, but that would be so cool. It's a great idea.
I know. So I like that you say that you are a climate optimist. Because when you think about what's happening to the environment, it's depressing, right? Yeah. I mean, you can really get yourself into a really depressing place, Why have you chosen to identify as a climate optimist?
So I love that you came to one of the climate concerts that we hosted. Very hippy dippy.
I love it.
Your perfect entry point to California.
I'm Palo Santo burning. I'm gonna have my Microlocs soon. I'm all in. I'm all in.
It was so cute. It was meditation under the trees.
Oh and gosh, there was a girl playing a harp. I was so into it. They were screen printing T-shirts.
Welcome to California.
I loved it.
Okay, what was the question again? I knew
you identify as a climate optimist, and normally what I see is climate change activist. But I like the term climate optimist. Why that?
Yeah, I feel like it's because kind of behind the reasoning I decided a year ago I'm going to start hosting concerts because we need joy and community building. And I love education and accessible education, but people are scared. There's a study by an agency called Futera that I really love that showed that Gen Zers specifically are identifying with not just climate pessimism, but climate fatalism, meaning that they feel like there's nothing they can do. Wow. So we have successfully scared everybody and the kids. Okay, good job. Shout out to Al Gore and those first couple documentaries. But the kids are scared, so we got to swing the pendulum back in another way. So I try to be over here and the optimism, hope, solutions, not because I'm ignoring the realities, but I want to show people get out of that fatalist bubble that there is hope and start sharing climate solutions. And even on Instagram, on Intersectional Environmentalist, we find that joyful content performs really, really well. Oh, wow. So showing people positive stories of positive legislation or, innovators that are people of color all around the world, I think it helps balance things out. So I feel like if we went all the way over here to the negative extreme, then I can maybe go over here. And I think it's, funny sometimes when people are like, why would you be hopeful? The planet is burning. And I'm honestly like, well, my people didn't cause this crisis, to be completely honest. Like,
so true.
Black people globally, we are not really responsible for what is going on in the world. So it's a general statement, but I'm like, I'm going to smile. I'm not going to let you take away my joy. You're already doing, the systems are already messed up as is. So, if my grandma can smile, my mom can still smile after everything that they've been through.
Right.
This, I don't want to call it the white man's crisis, but this crisis, I'm going to be joyful about it, because I'm like, we didn't cause it. So I'm going to look at solutions, find joy, community build, have spaces that are rooted in environmental education that feel like a hug, so people can feel motivated to do the work that we need to do.
I love that. So what are the small things that we can do to make a better impact on what's happening with our climate and with the world?
Yeah, so I think eating less meat is actually really important, or even substituting oat milk and different things like that. For people who don't know, cows produce a lot of methane, which is a big greenhouse gas. And the way that animal agriculture right now is working, it's just producing so much methane in the atmosphere, which is leading to climate change. So even if you just eat less meat, so there's one day a week that you're not eating meat, or making those changes when available to do almond milk or, oat milk, it really does make a difference. Another big one I try to do is support local. Love shopping locally. So even if it's like your friend who's making screen printed t-shirts or something, that cuts down on emissions, like transportation emissions.
Yes.
It also really helps build local economies. So, support that, little tiny shop that's maybe not CVS, that's selling a couple things.
Absolutely.
Support your friend. Oh, you go. Yeah, go ahead.
Just on the point of shopping locally, bookstores, one of the things, like, if I buy a book on Amazon, it's because I'm in a truly desperate situation. Like, there is something truly, I need this book,
immediately.
But I have learned that so many local bookshops, you can actually order on the phone, you can order online, even if they don't have like a website set up, they will get the book in and you can just buy it from them. Yeah. And so I really, really try to buy books locally when I can.
Love that so much. And yeah, my favorite indie bookstore is Reparations Club in LA.
Yes.
They're really lovely. But no, that's perfect. Like, support your local indie bookstores, support local artisans. If your friend is making, for the most part, if your friend is making like makeup or scrubs or anything, like, support your local economy. That is way better for both people and the planet. So like creating resilient communities, putting wealth and investing it back into your community, and then also cutting down on emissions and things like that.
I feel like you have been a model for me in terms of slow living, because I saw your away message, your email away message, which do you remember it off the top of your head?
I don't. I'm like, do I still have it? Or was it my assistant? Was it Paradise?
The away message is, let me read it so that I get the language right, because
do I need to turn it off? Is it
no,
on?
It's not still on. Okay. I got, we've been trying to schedule this for a while.
Yeah.
But I do want to hear about being conscious about slowing down, because you are, you're 28, you have so much opportunity in front of you. I'm sure you've got, brands and people and publications and, by the way, I loved your story in Vogue about, was it all my favorite environmentalists are Black women?
Yeah.
I loved that story.
Thank you.
So, a lot of people don't have like Vogue, like knocking at their door. You've got a lot of opportunity and a lot of people coming at you, but I would imagine that you have to be very intentional about how much you let in. So I would love to hear about how you've been intentional about that. And at the same time, I'm going to find your away message.
Yeah, I feel like when my career kind of started taking off about 2 going on 3 years ago, which was very, different conversation for a different day that I'd love to reflect on with other Black creators. I kind of had a smaller platform that I was really proud of, again, talking about green beauty and sustainable fashion and hiking and stuff like that. And then it blew up when I started talking about racism, intersectional theory, etc., because it was the summer of 2020. And I decided to leave a job offer to go back to Patagonia, which was the company that I knew and loved, and I could just go out on my own and try to start an organization and build something with no income. So I basically decided to have a yes year. I don't know if that was Shonda Rhimes or Oprah.
I think it was Shonda Rhimes.
Shout out to Shonda. So I had a yes year where I said yes to every podcast, every interview, every partnership. I use social media partnerships to fund the salaries of our organization when we were building.
Wow.
And was just trying to say yes to everything. And I'm proud of myself, but I also burnt out so quickly and started realizing like this is not the way that I need to live my life. But I understand why I did, because I was taking a chance on something. And through that yes year, I wrote a book, was building an org, was in like commercial. So I had no like North Star. So again, glad I said yes to everything, but then I kind of lost myself along the way and started thinking like, who am I? What am I doing this for? And that's how I had my journey to climate optimism and arts and doing other things that just feel really good to myself this year. But yeah, I don't know. I don't, but I also feel very privileged to be able to not say yes to everything now. So I understand that as a privilege that kind of comes with doing this work for a little bit. But I try to ask myself a set of questions like, does this align with my values? Does this align with the future that I want to create? Do I need to take up space here? Like there's so many other people I can refer people to. So instead of me flying across the coast all the time, I'm referring other friends of mine who I know do just as amazing work, if not better, and just trying to build community. I'm trying to support projects a lot more now, which is like a fun thing to do, like dabbling in investing. And even if it's investing of knowledge and not necessarily resources, finding ways I can support other projects, because I feel like the last 2 years have just been more than fruitful for me. So I'm trying to balance fun projects with the things that I need to do to also, you know, like get paid and survive in Los Angeles. So like I made a poetry zine just for funsies.
Oh, I love that.
And I'm like, shout out to my publisher. I will work on book number 2. But in the meantime, like doing fun projects along the way.
Keeping yourself creatively fueled. I love that. I can't find the away message, but it was something about that you're not bound by the confines of like white supremacy. And
that was my assistant Paradise.
Okay.
Shout out to Paradise.
Shout out to Paradise, because I've never seen an away message like that. How old is Paradise?
Paradise is maybe like 21.
Okay. It was giving Gen Z. I was just, is she a Black woman?
Yep.
Shout out to the Black Gen Z girlies.
Right.
Because this away message was like, thank you for your message. Like, I am not bound by the constraints of like white supremacy, and like, I will get to this when I get to it.
Yeah.
But respectful. It was said in a respectful way.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is so cool, because we just live in this culture of like, you have to respond. You have to respond. I love the work that's being done on the NAP ministry.
Oh yeah. Just started reading the book.
Yes. That Black women, we actually owe it to ourselves to take time to rest and to be easy on ourselves. And we were talking about going outside. I truly, truly love nothing more than being able to like go on a walk. Like is just that's like the ultimate luxury.
It really is. And it's like a beautiful way to connect with nature. That is an outdoor experience. You don't have to summit a mountain. Like going for a walk, it just makes me feel so much better. And I completely agree.
Yes. Bare Minerals, you said you like. Are there any other makeup brands that you go to?
Okay, I'm going to mispronounce them, but that's why we have the expert here.
I'm here.
Okay. Ilia.
Love Ilia. What do you like from Ilia?
They have like a little dropper foundation of sorts. It's like a tinted moisturizer.
Yes. Do you not find it too oily?
It's pretty oily.
Yeah, I find it too oily. And I love the brand. Shout out to them if they're listening. Love the brand, but I find that a little too oily.
Yeah.
Okay,
but there's 2. And one is like a sunscreen one that I really like that might not be as oily. So if I find it, I'll send it to you.
Yes.
And then I really like Say Beauty. I just started getting into Say. So I'm not wearing foundation. I'm going on a foundationless journey.
I mean, your skin is gorgeous. What do you need foundation for?
Thank you. But your skin is like glowing. So
thank you.
What are you wearing?
Also not wearing foundation though. I feel like concealer is really all you need.
Yeah. I'm just doing concealer. And then I use the Say Beauty. They have like a translucent like powder
setting
or something,
powder?
a setting powder, just because I get like so oily.
I haven't tried their powder, but is it good?
Great. Yeah, I like it. I want to know what you think, but I like it.
Say is great. The founder, Lainey, is also very aware of just like larger issues. Like they did a lot of fundraising for abortion funds.
Wow.
Following like the overturning of Roe v. Wade. And I think she used to work at Estee Lauder, Lancome, one of the biggies, you know, and then was like, this can be done better and more thoughtfully, and started Say. And they have a blush, a liquid cheek blush that is just so gorgeous.
I've been a blush girly. Like I've been going all out with blush.
Yes.
It's on my nose. It's on my cheeks. It just wakes you up. Like it gives you like a little sun kiss.
It really does.
Look.
Are there any like special like treatments or facials that you like to do?
My sister got me an Osea facial for my birthday, so I need to do it. So I haven't done it yet. Okay. But I mean, not really. I need to get into it. Extractions.
You do extractions?
I'm not gonna lie, I've just like seen it on TikTok. And I'm like,
I would.
What I'm supposed to have?
I would know. Let me step in here, a big sister energy, and say I would not recommend doing that at home. Good. I still have like a mark on my nose here from like I had like a small whitehead that I really should have just left alone, but I started messing with it and I still have this mark. So.
And then I wear a lot of sunscreen and I won't do that. And a lot of Black women, they have the condition that I have. I call them Morgan Freeman moles, but they look like freckles, but they're called, it's like dermatosis something nigra. And it's something like over 50% of African Americans have them. And mine were triggered by I was a park ranger in Kansas for a summer for 3 months. I only had one, and now I have over like 50 freckle moles on my face. I love them. Freckles are in, but I would just remind Black women to protect their skin when they can. So I do try to wear some sort of sunscreen.
Yeah. What sunscreen do you like?
I'm not going to lie. It's Supergoop.
I love Supergoop.
Okay, cool.
I love Supergoop sunscreen.
It's so cute.
It's just, and I feel like you can find a formula for every, if you have dry skin, you can go with the moisturizer. If you have oily skin, you can go with the invisible sheer one, the unseen sunscreen.
Yeah, your video was so good. I don't know if it was a year ago when that came out, but it was you trying sunscreens.
Oh, all the different mineral sunscreens?
Yeah, and then I felt so seen.
Oh, yeah, like just like the pure Casper the Ghost, like white cast that all of these like universal shears give you. It's just disrespectful. And it just shows that they don't have Black people in mind as they're formulating. And then you call something a universal sheer or invisible, and it's like disrespectful.
Yeah.
Disrespectful. How do you take care of yourself? Like, what do you do for your own self-care?
I spend a lot of time alone now. And I wanted to get really okay with being alone, I think. So I spend, I'll look at the sky. Like, I spend a lot of time alone. I try to go to sleep as early as I can.
How early?
Sometimes it's like 8 or 9.
Oh, my dream.
Yeah.
My dream. I don't know. My listeners know this has been a long journey for me, but I just like want to be an early to bed, early to rise person, and I'm not at all.
Yeah, I don't even early rise. Like maybe like 8. It's like 12 hours of sleep.
That's amazing.
7 o'clock. Or I slowly go to sleep when I can because I know it's either like I'm traveling or I'm really busy on something. So when I get those moments to go to bed early, it's just like so great.
It's like a treat to yourself. Like I'm going to go to bed early.
Yeah.
So do you put your phones away? How do you do it?
I mean, I put my phone on sleep mode.
Okay.
A lot. Like there's certain people who can bypass it, but my phone's on sleep mode. I just started reading before bed. So in bed, actually, like I'll read and it'll tire me out. So I started doing that. What else do I do? And then just separately, I've been doing reformer Pilates because of Lori Harvey since last summer. And I don't do anything else. Like I do it 3 times a week. Mental clarity. It's just, I feel good doing Pilates. Like that's the thing.
Okay. You're going to have to bring me with you one of these times.
It's so fun.
Pilates is very hard.
It's hard, but it's like once you get into it, like just give it like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then you just feel like a rock star.
I do love Pilates.
And then like men come into the class and they get like exhausted.
They can't do anything.
It's their first time coming.
Yeah, they can't do anything. They really can't. In terms of superfood supplement things, like, we hear about like ashwagandha.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot on the market.
A lot of stuff.
Collagen that you can drink and retinol that you can take in pill form. Do you supplement your diet with like any vitamins, minerals, superfoods?
So I live right down no, I don't. But I live close to Moon Juice.
Okay.
So I just go there religiously. And they've got good stuff in their stuff. So I have like a wake up thing, which is like, I think B12 12 maybe, and then they have like a magnesium for night.
Okay.
And
Magnesium makes you so sleepy.
It's great.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing.
It really works though.
It just knocks me out.
Yeah.
So I go to Moon Juice all the time, and they just have really cute little drinks that I really enjoy, and they've got good stuff in it. I usually get the silver strawberry, which has silver something, which is apparently some sort of
colloidal. Is it colloidal silver?
Yes,
which is very good for you.
So apparently I'm drinking that like every day.
Okay.
And maybe it's doing things.
Yeah. And you're getting your Erewhon smoothies, paying $20 for a smoothie.
No, it's so bad. And
It's
I go
outrageous.
to their hot bar all the time.
I do love their hot, but so hot bar, because it's like, okay, if you go out to dinner with friends, you're going to spend like $40, right?
Right.
So when I get their hot bar and I only spend $30, I'm like, this was a steal for dinner. But the $20 smoothies just sends me over the edge and down the cliff. It just makes me feel so weird.
I get their bone broth too, and it's like way too expensive, but it's down the street. I live in Silver Lake, so it's just so easy.
Yeah.
And one day.
I was talking about the price, and someone said, like, have an abundance mindset. Like, you deserve, like, and it's like, fine, we spent a lot of money on cocktail. You justify spending money on different things. Why not health?
Right? Because you can get like a $30 cocktail, or you can get a $20 liquid sunshine from Erewhon. Exactly. And one's healthier.
Exactly.
So,
final question for you. When do you feel you're most beautiful?
I feel my most beautiful, I don't know, when the sun is out. Probably, I think it rained in California for like 2 weeks consecutively. And I had never thought I had seasonal depression, but I've been living in California for 10 years, and I'm just used to the sunshine. And I realize like it just makes me feel happier, more beautiful. So I think right in the morning when I open, the blinds, and then I put a bunch of blush on my face and nothing else, like that's when I feel the most beautiful. And when my hair is kind of frizzy, and like when my locks aren't perfectly, tightened or whatever, I think that's when I feel my most beautiful.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Leah, for coming on. We could have talked for like a whole other hour, but that just means that you'll have to come back on Naked Beauty and educate us some more. But thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.